When we talk about quality in the pharmaceutical world, what's the first thing that comes to mind? For a lot of us, it's probably audits, right? Or just mountains of paperwork and getting ready for those super stressful inspections. But what if I told you that's just the tip of the iceberg? It turns out the way a lot of organizations think about quality is, well, it's fundamentally missing the point.
Okay, so here's how we're going to break this down. First, we're going to tackle that common misconception head-on. Then, we'll redefine what quality really is as a whole system. We'll see how that system works across a product's entire life, talk about why it's not about individual heroics, and then we'll get to the one core takeaway that might just change how you see pharma operations for good.
All right, so let's start with that common kind of fragmented view. This is what I like to call the checklist mindset, and it's so easy to fall into when you hear the words pharma quality. And what's on that checklist? You know the drill. It's following SOPs, handling deviations, launching CAPAs, making sure training records are perfect, and, of course, being constantly, perpetually ready for a big inspection. Now, don't get me wrong, all of this stuff is absolutely critical, but seeing them as just a list of tasks, that's seeing the trees, but completely missing the forest.
Yeah, because when you only focus on these separate pieces, you miss the most important thing about what quality truly is. It's kind of like trying to explain how a car works by just listing its parts. Spark plugs, tires, steering wheel. You've got the components, sure, but you have zero concept of the engine that actually makes them all work together.
So, let's see how these pieces fit into something way, way bigger. It's time to zoom out from that checklist and take a look at the entire machine. And here it is. This is the key. True quality isn't just a task, and it is not a department. It is a comprehensive system. It's how the people, the processes, the day-to-day decisions, and the company's culture all weave together seamlessly.
This really shows that total shift in thinking. You move from seeing SOPs and CAPAs as just documents to seeing them as the tools you use to build predictable, reliable processes. You go from just being inspection-ready to having a system that catches issues early, all by itself. See the difference? It's about being proactive, not just constantly reacting to problems.
So a real quality system has some pretty clear goals. It's designed to be predictable, to catch problems before they blow up, it actively manages risk, and, this is so important, it creates an environment where people feel safe to voice concerns, because everyone is focused on the same priorities: the patients, the product, and the long-term health of the business. Now, this idea of a holistic system, it's not some one-size-fits-all thing. It actually adapts and applies across the entire journey of a drug, from the very earliest research all the way to the person who needs it.
We really see it in three distinct stages. First up, you've got clinical quality. That's all about protecting people in trials and making sure the data is solid. Then comes commercial quality, which is about making the product the same way every single time. And finally, there's pharmacovigilance quality, which keeps protecting patients by monitoring safety long after the product is out in the real world. Same core idea, just applied in different ways.
And what's so interesting is that no matter which of those stages you're in, the system has to be able to answer a few really fundamental questions. And the very first one is always this: is the process actually under control? Is it stable? Is it predictable? The second question follows right from that. If the process is under control, then can we trust the information it's giving us? Is the data reliable? Because let's face it, without reliable data, you're just flying blind.
Third, and this one's a biggie, it's not about getting rid of every single risk. That's just impossible. The real question is, are the risks actually understood? And even more importantly, are they being actively managed with controls that actually work? And finally, the ultimate test. If an inspector or a business partner or even your own internal auditors came knocking, would the whole system hold up? Will it withstand scrutiny and prove that it's doing its job?
So, how in the world do you build a system that can confidently answer yes to all of those questions every single day? Well, the answer might not be what you think. It is not about having one or two superstars who swoop in and save the day when everything's on fire. A truly strong system doesn't need heroes because it's designed from the ground up to prevent that fire from starting in the first place. Instead, that confidence is built on a really solid foundation. It comes from having clear processes that everybody gets, training that actually works, leaders who live and breathe quality, a real commitment to always getting better, and a culture where quality isn't just some person's job, it's everyone's responsibility. And all of this brings us to the single most important idea to take away from this whole thing. It is the ultimate mindset shift when it comes to what quality really means.
The end goal is not the green checkmark you get from an auditor. The real goal is confidence, justifiable confidence, for everyone from the CEO right down to the patient, that every single thing the organization does is backed by a system that actually works.
And that's the bottom line, isn't it? Quality isn't some team you stick in the corner of the office. It is not a function you can just delegate and forget about. It is the very essence of the company. It's how it thinks, it's how it acts, and ultimately, it's how it succeeds.
So that leaves us with one last thing to think about. When you consider this bigger, more systematic view of quality, weaving together people, processes, and culture, what do you think is the one piece that gets ignored or overlooked the most? Something to chew on.